welcome to my channel. My name is Angela. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Before I get started, I want to go over my disclaimers. If you are in immediate danger, please call 911, or you can reach out to the domestic hotline at 800-799-SAFE, 800-799-7233. And for mental health resources, reach out to NAMI at 800-950-NAMI, 800-950-6264, and you can also text at 741741. With that being said, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. So today I want to talk to you about restraining orders and how you should use them and what they can do for you, and also how not to lose your voice in the middle of having a restraining order. You know, a few weeks back I reported how this lady had a restraining order in place, and she called 911, and the 911 operator decided to discipline her on being around the abuser. So the first thing I want to start out with is, when the person that you have the restraining order against violates the restraining order, do something. You know, like the lady I just mentioned, she did call the police to report it. If you can safely, you know, make this call and not get a person like the 911 operator, then do so. But make sure that you don't meet with this person. Don't allow them to sweet talk you into coming to your home to talk about the situation, or whatever the case may be. Don't meet up with them. Stay away from them as much as you can. You know, and I know in some cases when you do all of that, the person is still hot on your trail, still bothering you, still showing up where he shouldn't. And at that point, you want to make sure that you don't allow this to keep going on. So you voice your opinions to the legal system. You know, you do whatever it takes. This is number 2. You make sure that you don't allow them to push you to the side like they have done so many of us before. You know, make it a habit. Say something, do something. And then number 3, if all else fails, and you know that this person is so violent, and you know what he's capable of, and you're just you're still in fear of, even though you have a restraining order, go to a shelter. You know, I understand that a lot of people do not want to go to a shelter because you have to give up a lot of things. But whatever it takes to protect yourself, and if you have children, to also protect them. Now, this leads me to number 4. You know, in 1980s, it was not really a big thing. A lot of people wasn't trying to get restraining orders. They were dealing with the abuse of their spouse or boyfriend, because back then they didn't really care about a woman's problems. They just thought that she should shut up and be quiet and listen to the man. And you know, that stems from way back. You know, you can go back far as 1900s. So that was the culture, and so a lot of people just suffered in silence. So the difference is now you have options, you have things that you can do to protect yourself. And I know going to the shelter may be the last thing you want to do, but it will help you in the long run. Say you can't get the police or whoever to listen to you. When you go into a shelter, they have no reasons not to listen. You know, they have everything put in their face, so they can't ignore it, you know, the way they have ignored us in the past. So going to a shelter can help you out a lot. And then number 4, if you are you have left an abusive relationship and you have children together, and so now, and he knows you're not coming back because there's a restraining order against you. They have it now where you can restrain him from you and not the children. So in this case, you know, if you start to see that your children are being mentally abused, and sometimes it also goes to physical abuse because the man is mad at you, so he'll do whatever he can to get back at you by hurting your children. So at that point, you want to go and revise the restraining order, and if he fights it, then this is where they would put a person in place to have supervised visits, because they're not going to just ignore the fact that your child is coming back and saying that the father is doing this and they don't want to go. So then at this point you can, and I know you may run into some problems, but you have to keep going. Don't allow this to make you feel like you can't do anything. And get an advocate involved. Do whatever it takes to protect your children. So that leads me to number 5. Getting a restraining order at the beginning and putting in the right information helps a lot. If you tell them that he's a good father and he'll never do this, but in your heart, and you've experienced him going off on the kids, that you need to report this, and so you need to also put this in the restraining order. You need to make sure that you word it to where they can protect everyone that's involved. So let's say that he's abusive to the kids, but he's still holding on and saying that he would never do this, or whatever the case may be. They will put somebody in there for supervised visits. So they're not trying to really take away his rights as a parent. He's going to do all that by himself. We all remember the story. I'm sure most of us have heard about it. The guy, I can't think of his name now, but he had 2 little boys, and he had gotten rid of the mother, and he had full custody. Her family was fighting to get custody. They didn't know where she was located, but they were fighting to get custody. And he ended up... he had a CASA in place, and that's a child advocate for special cases. So he had a CASA in place. She would come and visit to make sure that he was doing right by the children as a parent. One day he came to visit. Well, I'm sorry, she came to visit, and the man inside took his children's lives and his lives. So this is a person that wasn't his case, or whatever happened, it went under the radar, and the family had to deal with losing the mother and the 2 children. So what I'm saying, to prevent all this, don't feel sorry for the abuser. If you know this person is doing wrong by your children, give them a voice, step up, and make sure that you do something, say something. So if that means you have to get a restraining order to where he's restrained from everybody, he can fight it in court to get his rights, or to make sure he have visits, and make sure they're supervised visits. Because if you let this go, then things can happen really bad, like the story that I just mentioned. And then there's a story, and the reason why I mentioned how things are different from 1980 to now, there's a story that I'm going to link below. It's this man. He was a horrible person. He grew up in an abusive home. Like most abusers, we know that somewhere in their background there's been abuse. And so he took the lives of his 2 children to get back at his ex-wife. And all the way up until death row, he showed how much he hated his ex-wife, how she was such an evil person, and so forth. So actually I'm going to link 2 stories. One of what he did, and then the story of how he felt about what he did. So this was back in 1980. So a lot of people had notions of, if you have a child out of wedlock, then you're this horrible person, which we don't believe that way now, and that stopped long ago. My mother didn't believe that way. So to tell you a little bit about my story, I stayed with this person, but I just could not bring myself to marry him. We were engaged. And then I called it off because just something in me knew that if I had married this person, it would have been worse than it was getting away from him. So I'm not against marriage, as you know, I've been married before, and that didn't work out, and I plan to get married again, but to a person that's been healed and somebody that's, like I said, has done the healing and whatever they've been through. So in this case, like I was mentioning about the story, this man was horrible, and he hated his ex-wife so much because she decided that she wasn't going to stay around for the abuse. And the first wife, he had been married twice, put up with the abuse, but she got out of it safely, and there was still a relationship because she had a daughter with him. And he apparently didn't hate her as much as she hated the second ex-wife. So that daughter lived, and he also had a stepson, which was her son. And I don't want to go too much into the story, but when you see it, or if you take the time to watch it, you'll see why it's so important to get a protective order, restraining order for yourself and your children if you are in an abusive relationship and you know how violent it can be. Don't overlook the signs. Don't overlook the red flags. Don't have pity on somebody who doesn't care for you and could care less about you or your children. So do whatever it takes. Like I say, I'm going to continue to push, go to a shelter, because nowadays it seems like the restraining orders are just being handed out, and we're not using them the right way. We get sucked into this thing of letting a person back in to talk to us or to see the child, and then everything turns upside down. You have to understand the way this person is thinking. This person has been cut off from you, is now in the system, and they're losing it. They're losing control of you. So if they can sweet talk you into allowing you to come to their home, to your home, or meet with them, or whatever the case may be, they're going to get their revenge. So you have to think in that way. You can't think that this person is hurting because you took away yourself and your children because of his actions. If this person really was truly sorry about what they did, they would go get help. A lot of abusers, they live their lives without ever getting the help that they need, and they go on to abuse the other people that come into their lives, and some of them go on to be killers. So you want to make sure that if you are in a relationship like this, do the best thing by getting out. Go to a shelter if you can't do it by yourself. If this person just won't leave you alone, go to a shelter and then follow the correct steps to get a restraining order. Don't allow someone to take your life because you feel sorry for them. If you know someone that's going through this, please share this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you again tomorrow.